Hey folks, Nas here. I appreciate everybody joining me today for another No Man's Sky All Alone episode. So in the last episode, we kind of built this base. I'm standing in, we got all of our storage units in and everything. As you can see, I've kind of started decorating a little bit, adding fireplaces and some little plants. I added lights at the bottom of all the storage units. That way it's a little easier to see and it's more homey, so to say. I'm still probably going to be working on decorating a little bit more and adding new things. But I added this little plant in the middle with the bubble vats and everything, or not the bubble vats, the bubble tube or pipe or whatever. These are decorations that you could purchase through the Quicksilver vendor and the Anomaly. Once you purchase it, on any particular save, it's available on all saves. So you don't have to purchase it for every save, which is really nice. But it does take Quicksilver to purchase those things. Now, speaking of Quicksilver, as you can see, I've got 3,800 Quicksilver. So there was a weekend Nexus event that I took advantage of that gave me 1,800 Quicksilver. And then, of course, I was doing some of the other just standard Quicksilver missions that give you the Quicksilver as a reward. Doing some of the other Nexus missions that give you Quicksilver as a reward. That way I could get this 3,800 up. So what I like to do today, as I had mentioned, potentially doing something else to get an S-Class ship, a guaranteed S-Class ship, because I've found so many ships, and I have yet to see an S-Class Sentinel ship. And A-Classes are extremely rare. I want to say that I might have found, if I found 10, I'm lucky. So far. And I've been doing a lot of hunting. So what I want to do, I've got a bunch of crap in my inventory that I still have to sort out. But for today, what we're going to do is we're going to go and grab a void egg. I'm going to try and get a living ship. Now, the process for the living ship, if you've never gotten a living ship before, it is it's tough. Okay. It doesn't physically take a long time to do the things that you need to do, but there is a waiting period between each step. That's what makes the process so lengthy. And a lot of people have a tendency to not even do the living ship or do the mission to get the living ship because of that length. But it's just, once you start it, you just do a little bit and then you wait a long time. And then you do a little bit and you wait a long time. And you do that a few days. It takes you a few days, I say a week, 5 days, to actually get the living ship. So what I've done is I had hoped to find a Sentinel ship that was S-Class or a standard ship, because in the Minotaur, if you use the scanner in the Minotaur, you can search for distress signals. So freighters or crash freighters or crashed standard ships. So I've been doing that. I've been looking for the standard ships. I've been looking for the Sentinel ships. And the most I've ever found was an A-Class for both. Now, the standard ships don't make you hardly any money. They make you a few million units, as to where the Sentinel ships make you a ton of, almost 10 times as many units when you scrap them and sell them, even for the C-Class. But I can easily see me taking a lot longer than this series needs to last to find an S-Class ship, or just take the chance and hope I find an S-Class ship by the end of this series, which I just don't want. I don't feel that I need to do that. So I need to kind of hedge my bets a little bit. Now I have gathered almost 70,000 nanites. Now I'm gathering the nanites in preparation to upgrade my multi-tool, because the problem with the ships, not finding the ships, is there's no economy. And I've probably mentioned this in other episodes. When you're playing in normal, not in abandoned mode, when you're playing in normal, the system has an economy. Every system has an economy. And depending on how good or bad that economy is, can also reflect on how often or not often you find higher class ships and multi-tools in those systems. So if you find a 3-star system, a 3-star economy system, then your chances of finding S-class ships is much higher than those that have a 1-star system. You know, so like they're a failing economy or they're a struggling economy or something like that. When you're in abandon mode, there is no economy. There's no stable economy in place. Even though you can buy and you can sell things and you can make the money and stuff, the systems themselves don't have an economy. So everything is 1-star and lower, basically. They have no economy. So that also reflects on this class of ship that you're going to find most often. Well, obviously it's going to be C and B classes that you're going to be finding the most often. And then A class is going to be your rare, like in a 3-star system. S class is going to be your rare. So in abandoned mode, it can be extremely difficult to find an S-class ship. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible, because yes, you can find it. You hunt long enough or you get lucky enough, the RNG is really nice too or whatever, then yes, you can find an S-class ship just laying around somewhere. But because I am kind of on a time crunch, because this series isn't just going to go forever. We're going to go so many episodes and then it'll come to an end. We'll meet all of the criteria that I've set forth for the series, all the rules and stuff, which you can find in the description below and everything. But what I need to do is I need to go to space and go to the anomaly. But before we go, you want to make sure that you have a Korvax casing and that you've got some pugnium, because the first step is going to require those two things. Excuse me. I've got the quantum computer here because I went and got the items from a purple system. So oddly enough, right before I installed the Atlantid drive, I got a Nexus mission that took me to a purple system, which was really weird because it was able to send me to a purple system, but yet I did not have the Atlantid drive. So I was able to save the system. I was able to teleport back to it and everything and fly around it. But I couldn't warp to it yet. But I got all the stuff that I needed. I did finally get the living, what am I trying to think of? Living glass. And finish the Atlantid drive, but now I need to finish the Exocraft summoning unit. That way I don't have to keep dropping the Exocraft summoning station on the planet just to summon things. So this is going to replace this, and it's going to make life, it's a nice quality of life change. So let me go ahead and install these 3 quantum computers in there. I've already got the other items installed. And now we can summon our Exocrafts, any Exocraft that we own, as long as it's built somewhere. You have to have at least 1 built. And I do believe I have all 3 built at, where's my teleporter? There it is. At my first base. I think I still have all 3 built. Let's go to the base 1 and check that real quick. But as long as you have 1 of each of the Exocraft terminals built at any of your bases, the Exocraft summoning unit, the technology that goes in your Exosuit, yeah, they're all 3 right here. 1, 2, and 3. So then I don't need the, what am I trying to think of? I don't need the summoning station. Come on. So I can actually get rid of this. Boom. We'll just delete that altogether. And now anytime I go to anywhere, any planet, any system, I can summon my Exocrafts. You just have to make sure that you got them built somewhere. I don't know why that banner stayed so long on my screen. But now, let's head to space. I've been doing enough talking. 10 minutes of talking. Holy cow. Rattle, rattle, rattle. Let me go up to space. And we're going to summon the anomaly, and we're going to go purchase a void egg, and we're going to start that mission. Now, if you have never done or gotten a living ship, I'm sorry, if you haven't done the mission, the initial mission to get a living ship, you can definitely either follow along here. I don't know that I'm going to do it every episode. I'll probably do, I'm definitely going to do this first one, but I may do some of the others off camera because my scheduling time. But if you are wanting to follow along and know how to get the living ship, there's going to be a link in the description below. I may even put a tag up at the top of the screen or something like that, to where I have a video that explains and walks you through how to get your very first living ship. Then I also have another video that shows you and tells you step by step how to get upgrades for your living ship. Now, if you're going to keep the living ship in abandoned mode, just know that you will never be able to acquire the cargo storage upgrades, and it may be extremely difficult for you to get any technology other than or technology like the scanner, what am I trying to think of? Shoot, I'm completely having a brain fart. But anything other than the C through S class upgrades. So just the individual technology that does not have a class specified to it, you're not going to be able to get, because you get those items through freighter missions, which you can't get a freighter in abandoned mode. So keep that in mind. So I am strictly getting the living ship right now, not necessarily to use, but for the S-class requirement that I've set forth in the rules, which are in the description. Okay, let's walk over here. So in order to get the living egg, get the void egg, you're going to go to the Quicksilver Synthesis Companion. You're going to go to number 1. I don't know what's going on. I got the damn hiccups today. You're going to scroll this back to where you see other curiosities at the top. It's the easiest way to find this. And then you're going to go void egg, and you're going to click one. It takes 3,200 of the Quicksilver. I've got 3,800. Collectible received. So now we've got the void egg in our inventory right there. Now we should be able to go into space, and we're going to pulse. So with the void egg in your inventory, there it is right there, we are going to just pulse through space until you get get a notice. All right, there's our notice right there. And then you're going to see that there is a living ship flying above us. Down at the bottom right of the screen, we need to communicate. It's giving us that little notification. I'm going to hit X on the keyboard. I'm going to communicate with the starship. And then we're going to go through some dialogue. And this is going to be the beginning of the quest line that you need to do to acquire your first living ship. We hear you, traveler. We are connected. Your body is ours. This craft is like none I've ever seen before. It looks alive. Its broadcast is pure music, and yet I understand the melody making words in my mind. The void egg I acquired from the space anomaly begins to resonate in response. We want to continue to listen. The tone that had previously formed words now shift in form, modulating their music into readable navigation data. Coordinates have been registered to my starship's systems. Interstellar coordinates received. Now, we need to, it says at the bottom of the screen here, Starburst, that we need to go to our galaxy map, and we're going to find a new system to jump to. So you want to make sure that you have the appropriate drives and stuff installed in your current ship. But I'm going to go into Free Explore, and then I'm going to change to Current Mission, which is taking us to a green system. Alrighty, new first contact, and now it's showing us a planet that we need to go to, which is there. Let's go ahead and scan to see, whoops, let me get into this view. That's going to be easier to scan. Scan and see what we're going to be going down to. Okay, it's just a shattered planet. We don't have to worry about sentinels or anything. If I needed emerald, gold, or cobalt, I could get it there. All right, let's go down to the void egg frequency coordinates. Actually, this looks like it's on the moon. Let's scan that moon real quick. Okay, it's fine too. Emerald, ammonia, and magnetized ferrite. I just wanted to make sure it didn't have any aggressive sentinels on it. Alrighty, now we're going to keep heading down to the planet. And we're going to have to land. The marker's over here. Hop out, get our notice that we got first contact again. And then you're going to use your analysis visor. It's going to beep telling you which direction you need to go. So we got to go about 900 units that direction. Now there is no atmosphere, so I don't have to worry about that. However, I do want to make sure that my launch thrusters, my anti-gravity well, is full on my ship. That way I can call it in. I can, again, call in any of my exocrafts that I have, because I just installed that technology in my suit. Now I'll call in my Minotaur, and we'll take him over there. So we're going to head off that direction, like 900 units or some crap. I was hoping to make it over that. Alrighty, let me head over and find the location that I need to get to, which I am not going forward. Alright, I'll be back in a second. Alrighty, I have a feeling that's where we're going, is right there. So let's finish heading off over there, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, this is where we're needing to go. You can see the icon right above it. We're going to walk up here. This is a Korvax plaque. So you can see it right there under the description. The Distributed Secure Archive. Yeah, Korvax plaque. Alrighty, so we're going to interact with that. Retrieval in progress. Log follows. Language transfer. Go through this dialogue. Let's see. Coexistence unavailable until the nature of non-convergence experience understood. Okay. Must be an experiment with fewer variables. Operational. Awaiting biogenesis materials. Ancient structures. Recording of convergence activity on Korvax Prime. It appears to contain a pathway for recreating a long forgotten experiment. And you can see that there is a consciousness bridge that's grayed out. We need to actually craft that. We're going to leave, and it's going to go through a little bit of dialogue here. And then it's going to give us the recipe for a consciousness bridge. Now you can see I've got the pugnium, I've got the Korvax casing, but I do not have the hexite. Now, once I get out of this, it's going to update the mission, and then it's going to give us the location where we can find hexite. And there it is right there. Did not mean to drop that pin, but that's where we're going. So it says right there, hexite source. So you don't have to worry about going off and finding the hexite or anything like that. I'm going to call my ship in real quick. It gives you the location to go to. So let me call my ship in, and we're going to go to that location, which I do believe is going to be a crashed freighter. There we go. Freighter's in view, and there should be free parking. Like free parking. We're gonna hop out, and then you're gonna go over and interact with this little ball right here, the reality transport. It's gonna start going through some more dialogue again. Hostile consciousness overwrite detected. Erasing. All records successfully bio-encrypted, magnetic elements rendered to unrecoverable rendered to unrecoverable hexite. And we're going to extract hexite. The freighter's security system reacted to my presence, or perhaps to that of some other uninvited visitor. Whatever prompted this response, however, I have the materials I require. Now, you are at a crash freighter. You can go through here and get, you know, the goodies from the crash freighter if you want to, which I can kind of show you where they are real quick. There's a box in there. There's going to be, you're going to need your terrain manipulator, but there is going to be a box there. There's going to be a box in that room. There's going to be a box down here. Weapon charge depleted. Really? You can see the steel reinforced area. You're going to blow that up, and then you're going to expose another box down there. Then if we get back out, there's 2 more areas that you can explore. We're going to go to the other side of my ship. We're going to go down into this little square area here. And you can find all of these locations with your visor cargo pod. That's what you're looking for. But there's going to be a cargo pod down there. You're going to expose it. You're going to access it there. And then if you go to the other side of the freighter, like in the middle of the broken portion, so back over this direction, hit that just right to where I skimmed on it. Then there's going to be another cargo pod over here. So if you've never done these, you can access all of this stuff here. And there's another cargo pod down there that you can access. So you can go through there and collect your goodies and stuff out of there. Keep in mind, every time you open a box, it's going to potentially poison you. Or radiate you, I guess. Man, I keep catching everything. So if we come in here and I go to this cargo pod, I'm just going to use this as an example. Well, I'm going to keep that Fecium though. I'll keep the fluids. So once I put this in here, it's going to give me something out of it. And then you'll notice in the bottom right corner, I'm taking radiation damage. So you want to try and get out of there quickly. That way you don't take too much radiation damage. And then once you're out, it goes away. Unless you're on a radioactive planet, and then it goes away slower. But we have our hexite now, and you can see it in the bottom right of the screen. It's telling us Starbirth. We can actually construct the bridge. If we open our inventory, it's blinking. You can click the blinking, and you can click any other blocks. And then we have the hexite, the pugnium, and the Corvex casing. So we're going to go ahead and craft the bridge. There we go. We got the bridge. We're going to let the mission update, but it should start telling us that we can head back to the plaque. There we go. Return to the ancient biogenesis structure and present the bridge. And find the marker. Oh my God. It seems like every time I get up looking for a marker, I always turn the wrong way. All right, so now we get to land on top of my... Oh, no, I didn't. I just barely missed him. Okay, so now, where's the thing? It's all cloudy here. All right, let's go back and interact with the plaque. Experimental synthesis unit is operational, awaiting biogenesis material. You can see now that the consciousness bridge is lit up, so we can actually give it to it. The machine accepts the biogenetic machine I have assembled for it. I hear a hum, the rumbling echo of its past experiments returning to the present. It outputs births, a cluster of cells, some proto-tissue. What purpose did these ancient Korvax have in mind? And there we go. We have a fragile neural stem. Now you're going to want to keep this item. Click return. We'll back out of that. And then you can see we've got the fragile neural stem in our inventory now. Now it popped up on the right-hand side of the screen, Starbirth. Neural stem is too fragile for use. Take care of the stem. It will mature in 19 hours and 6 minutes. Now you can get a time frame. I want to say it's between 18 and 25 hours. Mine happened to be 19 hours. So in 19 hours, I'll be able to do the next portion of this mission line, this quest line. So obviously I can't do another portion in this video. But you can now see that the void egg is now active. So you can only use this egg one time for the purpose of gathering your first living ship. Now, if you want to follow along and stuff, and you want to do your get your living ship before these next episodes and all of that, I've got a video. I'll put it in the description. You can follow it and do the process to get your first living ship. But I'm doing this. This is the first time I've ever gotten a living ship in abandoned mode. So I'm wanting to make sure that we can do it. And two, it gives me the S-class ship requirement for the rules that I set forth for this series. Alrighty. Now, I would like to do one other thing before we call this an episode, if I can. And I want to go back to our first base. So let me go to space. Let me call in the anomaly, and I'm going to use the teleporter in the anomaly to go back to our first base. Okay, so I am back at our original base. And now granted, it has been a useful base, but I want it to continue to be a useful base. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to plant the planet-specific plants at this base. So it's going to be the frostwort, frost crystals is what we're going to plant. And it's going to, the frostwort is what we're going to plant. The frost crystals is what it produces. And the frost crystals we can use to make glass. Because if you remember in the last episode, I didn't have glass. I was looking for the frost crystals in my inventory and all that good stuff to try and make glass. Now, you can make glass with frost crystals, or you can make glass with silicate powder. The fact that I can use the plants to make glass is a whole lot better than going out and trying to mine silicate powder every time I want glass. I can just come to this base, I can pick the plants, and I can process them in the refiners to make glass. Because I can only make 3 glass at a time per refiner. So what I need to do is get frost crystals and dioxide to be able to plant some. Now, you can also take frost crystals in a refiner. Let me do this here. We put that in there. You can see the frost crystal makes glass. It's only going to give us 3 glass. Now, you can also take dioxide and put it with the frost crystal, and it gives you frost crystal. So you can see here, it's going to, that was confusing for a second. I'm like, no, it's not going to give you 2 dioxide, but it's going to, 1 frost crystal, 1 dioxide will give you 2 frost crystal. So I can process that. I can get another 150 frost crystal out of that stack just by using dioxide. So we put that in there, and then it takes dioxide to plant frost crystals. So I can plant frost crystals around this base. Now you will need the frostwort recipe from the anomaly. I know, thermal protection falling. I probably should be standing in the base. But you can see here, it takes 50 frost crystal and 25 dioxide to make 1 plant. Why is it not showing up on the ground? But I should be able to plant that. Yeah, it's not giving me the X. Let's go out here. We'll do it out here. Yeah, there it goes. It just didn't show me the little thing, but that's now a frostwort plant. And you can plant them as close as you want, as long as it doesn't have the little X on the screen. You can plant them as close as you want. Right there. Right there. Right there, you can see how close I'm getting those. Now, in planting these plants here, once they mature, because it takes some time for them to grow. Does it tell me how long it takes for them to grow? It takes 1 hour. So it's really not that long. So in 1 hour, I can come back and I can pick the plants. And these little, the small plant stays. It's not like you have to replant it every time. The only downside to this is you're not using the biodome. In the biodome, there's a thing in the top of the biodome to where you can collect all 16 plants at once. For this way, you have to come out here and you have to pick each plant, but you don't have to replant them. But as long as you're doing it on its native planet, you can plant them in the ground. So that's why I can plant these frostworts in the ground on this planet, because it's a frost planet. So I'm going to end up making a nice frostwort flower bed, I guess, out here. That way I can come back and I can collect frostwort and then turn it into glass. That way I have glass for the various things that I may or may not want to build on these different bases. But I think that is going to be all for today. I appreciate everybody joining me for this episode. If you are liking these, definitely click that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. Thank you to everybody who has been leaving positive comments on all my videos. Please keep it up. I love it, and I'll share comments in each video. So that way you guys can see your own comments and everything. And then make sure to go and visit the living ship videos, the one for getting your first living ship and for the upgrades. It's 2 different videos. That way you can get a living ship, regardless of whether you're in abandoned mode, permadeath, normal, however you're playing the game, you'll know how to get a living ship. Alrighty, folks, you take care and happy hunting.